Yeah, so we've really seen a different shift in the past, I'd say even 5 to 6 years, so really relatively recently. It's very interesting to see how brands are really trying to adopt this new area and go into this new area of marketing. I think it's very much still in its growth phase. I don't think brands are really caught on yet. There's still, from my own personal experience, I still see a lot of conventional marketing concepts being promoted to me, and how the brands want me to make the content just from a personal perspective. But I also hear from other people in the industry that the brands, they're coming at it with a mindset of about 10 years ago. They haven't really caught up. And I think that's true of cycling as a whole in the first place. So I think that it's something that the industry really needs to improve on going forward, to really sort of accelerate that growth and really understand. I look at sports like running, which have really understood that. They give complete control to their creators, and the creators grow as a result, which is a win-win.
Welcome to Ride Success, the podcast that takes you on a learning journey to a productive, creative, and active life through the power of the bike. In the podcast, I explore cycling's global trends, community needs, innovative business strategies, and the journeys of remarkable individuals in the world of cycling. You are listening to a limited series of recordings during Rouleur Live 2024. This limited series has 11 episodes, and in each episode, the guests are asked 4 key questions. Each of my guests has different insights into where the opportunities for success in the cycling industry lie. So make sure you to subscribe and follow so you'll get notified of new podcasts, because they will be released in quick succession. In this episode, I interviewed Inigo Hawkings. He is a content creator, and he discusses the evolving landscape of cycling, emphasizing the importance of social media and content creators. Now, back to the show.
Hi, my name's Inigo. I'm a content creator and a racing cyclist.
Brilliant. Hi, Inigo. Thank you for taking the time to be with me. Let's go straight to the questions. Where should cycling companies prioritize their spending when aiming to drive brand visibility and engagement?
I'm looking much more into the social media space. I think conventional media is taking more of a backseat in cycling. And when you're looking at the social media space, you're looking at the influencers, the content creators. For me, you can obviously invest in the really big followed social media personalities and influencers. But I actually think you get the best bang for your buck at the lower level. The guys with 20 to 30k followers, possibly. That's where they're going to really invest in your story, and they're going to really create a really good piece of content for you. Maybe even do extra, because they're still on the way up. They're still growing. They still want to, create their own niche. I think that's the area where you're going to get the best bang for your buck when you're looking at investing in cycling marketing.
Very good. Very good. I mean, I wanted to you mentioned about content creators. You are on that space as well. And obviously there's been a rise in the content creator economy. And for you, from your experience, how is the rise of content creator economy and the space of it as well transforming the sponsorship model that the cycling industry has used in the past?
Yeah, so we've really seen a different shift in the past, I'd say even 5 to 6 years, so really relatively recently. It's very interesting to see how brands are really trying to adopt this new area and go into this new area of marketing. I think it's very much still in its growth phase. I don't think brands are really caught on yet. There's still, from my own personal experience, I still see a lot of conventional marketing concepts being promoted to me, and how the brands want me to make the content just from a personal perspective. But I also hear from other people in the industry that the brands, they're coming at it with a mindset of about 10 years ago. They haven't really caught up. And I think that's true of cycling as a whole in the first place. So I think that it's something that the industry really needs to improve on going forward, to really sort of accelerate that growth and really understand. I look at sports like running, which have really understood that. They give complete control to their creators, and the creators grow as a result, which is a win-win. The creators grow, the brands grow, the creator grows more, and so on. So I think it's something that cycling could really...
It's a way of creating storytelling that is one-to-one, is personable, and people build trust and community from that relationship with the content creator.
Yeah, precisely.
I wanted to now take a more macro view of the industry that you work in. Where do you see the major tailwinds and the headwinds in the cycling industry in the next 5 years?
Well, I think interesting you mentioned headwinds first. I actually want to go to the tailwind to start off, and I think that what's really exciting to see is the sport is growing. It is becoming bigger. I'm seeing a lot more, maybe it's even at a grassroots level. Maybe it's at a lower level. Younger guys picking up the bike. Maybe guys who wouldn't pick up the bike in a normal sense. You've got what you might call corporate athletes, people who have the 9 to 5, but maybe they want to try an Ironman. Maybe they want to do their first 100 miles. London to Brighton, for example, is a classic ride. Maybe they've just got an old bike that they've got in the shed. And I think that is where the sport is really going to accelerate in the future. In the next, I'd say 5, hopefully exponentially, but in the next 5 to 10 years, that's the real positive of the sport going forward. The negative of that is that, or in your analogy, the tailwind of that is that it can restrict other areas of the market. So I'm looking at areas of like things that are really growing at the moment. Gravel is a massive part of the sport at this time. And I think that people really investing in that, I don't know how that's going to affect your performance road cyclists. And this is more, I guess, again, applying it more to myself, my own niche of the sort of performance, more higher end cycling. That sort of gets set to one side, I think, a little bit. And that's where the sport is maybe going to just maybe stall in the next 5 years, I'd say.
That's the first time I hear that. So that's good to have that insight. I wanted now to step back into more a personal note to you. What for you is one thing that you do every day that enables you to perform at your best?
Well, I've actually been thinking about this question a lot, to be fair, but I mean, other than putting my contact lenses in the morning, first thing in the morning, which is really, really quite vital. I'm actually a great believer in fresh air and getting outside. Obviously, cycling is a sport where that is sort of almost taken for granted, I think. Mm-hmm. But, in the world that I work in on a work basis, I'm at a computer a lot. I'm on my phone. I'm sort of hunched over on the chair, sort of just like playing away on my phone. And if I'm not riding that day, that will be my day. So I'm a great believer in a morning walk, getting outside, maybe just 10 minutes, just walk down the road, walk back in, bit of vitamin D, bit of fresh air, or time away from the screen, time for me to assess my own thoughts, have a think about what I want to do, or maybe, that's what my takeaway would be.
Very good. So as part of the podcast tradition, every guest leaves a question to my next guest, not knowing who they are. So the question that was left for you is the following. Right. So which markets are the main ones where cycling industry needs to focus? So take your time to think about this. It's on the spot, so take your time to think about it.
Where does the cycling industry need to focus? From a marketing perspective?
From a growth opportunity, from where the best investment for their money.
Well, it's ironic that I was just talking about how the performance end of the sport may suffer from marketing into the grassroots level of the sport, but I think that actually is where I think that's almost a necessity. I think I refer to it as a tailwind because it affects what I do, but I think for the overall growth of the sport, you've got to be looking at the people who are transitioning from running. The corporate athletes who I was referring to earlier. The concept of the guys who have just picked up the bike and want to see where it takes them, because that is going to be the most valuable interaction. You see the content creators I sort of see on the page who've just picked up the sport grow massively. There's, for example, Dan Jones, who you may be familiar with, grown massively in the past year, and it really shows how if you're coming at it from a sort of a newbie perspective, that can be really valuable for marketing, basically.
Right. So invest in the people wanting to get into the sport. Very good.
I mean, obviously as well, invest in me. That'd be great. But
of course, yeah. So obviously, as part of the tradition, would you like to leave a question to my next guest?
Yes. Yeah. I also thought about this. I was going to go down a marketing route, but I thought I'd leave it a little bit different. I thought if you had one bike to ride for the rest of your life, you get money, no object. Tomorrow, you have to go to the bike shop, one bike, the whole package. What bike are you riding for the rest of your life?
Brilliant question. It's a conversation starter for sure. Thank you, Inigo.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this quick interview. I'm your host, Pedro Couto Lopez. You can find me under my own name on LinkedIn. You can find Ride to Success on all socials. And let me know if you like this format of shorter, snappier interviews with guests within the cycling industry. And if you like the show, please give us a review, follow, helps us to create better content and bring more guests to the podcast. Make sure you tune into the next episode, which will be released shortly. Thank you for listening.